Hello, Pastor.
How are you, Ngoni? We meet again?
I'm all right. It's a pleasure to be back.
Yeah, sure.
I still have questions around the law.
Okay. Yes.
I remember that last time we established that the law was valid and it was binding. So tell me, Pastor, are we then still expected to be keeping the Jewish Sabbath?
Okay. Yeah, since we established that the law of God is still binding.
Yes.
And then amongst the 10 commandments, we also have got a commandment which says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy.
Yes.
It's interesting that you have specified that the Jewish Sabbath. And each and every time I come across that question, people are also keen to know, isn't this a Jewish commandment? Wasn't this only applying
Jews?
To the Jews? But let me start by saying, Ngoni, the Sabbath was established many years before the existence of a Jew. Yeah. In fact, the Sabbath was established right from creation. We are told that God created the earth in 6 days, and then he rested on the seventh.
On the seventh day.
And the only people that were on earth were Adam and Eve. There was no Jew. So let me read. Read. Genesis chapter 2, verse 1 and 3. 1, 2, and 3. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. And on the seventh day, God ended his work, which he had made, and rested on the seventh day from all his work, which he had made. And God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because in it he had rested from all his work, which God created and made. This is the first time we hear the Bible speaking of a seventh day. And the Bible itself interprets itself, and it tells us that the seventh day is the Sabbath. According to Exodus chapter 20, verse 8 to 11. So this is the first time it is mentioned. And the only people that are existing, Adam and Eve, no Jew. So those who claim that the seventh day or the Sabbath belongs to the Jews, they need to be taken back to
creation.
Yeah, this day existed right from creation. It's part of the creation week. That's why even up to this day, our weekly cycle has got 7 days.
7 days.
Even heathens, they tried to increase them to 8, and people were dying in the industries. They tried to make them 6, and still there was no, meaningful production going on. They came back to 7.
7 days.
They came back to 7 days. You see, so if you are also going to read Mark chapter 2, it's a very common verse. Mark 2, verse 28. Listen to what it says. Now let me read verse 27. That's the one that I want really. And he said to them, the Sabbath was made for men. And not men for the Sabbath. Christ did not say the Sabbath was made for the Jews. The Sabbath was made for men. Whether you're Chinese, you're Zimbabwean, South African, Egyptian, American, the Sabbath was made for you. As long as you're a human being, man, M-A-N, in its generic sense, the Sabbath was made for you. And if someone makes something for you, Ngoni, they've considered your needs. If your mom says, I'm knitting this jersey for my son, you need it. So God made the Sabbath. That's why he first of all created Adam and Eve. And then he said, I'm making this one for them. They need it. So all human beings need the Sabbath rest. You need to rest. You're not a watch. You need to rest. God who created you knew that this machine should go for 6 days, take a break, and then resume. But unfortunately, people don't want even to rest. They don't want. Let me also read Matthew 24:20. I just was proving the fact that it's not for the Jews.
It's not for the Jews. It's for everyone.
For all humanity. But now, are we still to observe it? Matthew 24:20. It says here, but pray ye that your flight will not be in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. Christ was talking about the destruction of Jerusalem, which was coming in AD 70. And this is AD 31. And he's saying, make sure when the time of fleeing will come, don't go back to look for something warm, just go. Okay? But pray now that you will not have to run away on a Sabbath. So if the Sabbath would have ceased to bind at the cross like so many Christians do believe, there was no point on Christ telling the disciples to pray that they would not break the Sabbath in AD 70. You see now. So Christ knew that even up to AD 70, the Sabbath will still be binding. Please pray that when you will be running away, do not run away on a Sabbath. Not only that, you also want to read Acts chapter 18 Acts chapter 13, because there are some who say, maybe Paul was meeting with the Jews only, and then the Gentiles on another different day. Acts chapter 18, let me read verse 4. And he reasoned in the synagogue every Sabbath, and persuaded the Jews and the Greeks. So both the Jews and the non-Jews, they were meeting on a Sabbath at church to worship God. Chapter 13, verse 42. Acts chapter 13, verse 42. And when the Jews were gone out of the synagogue, the Gentiles besought that these words might be preached to them the next Sabbath. These are Gentiles who are saying, next Sabbath, please come back. Okay, these are Gentiles, not even Jews. You see, Revelation 1 verse 10. Revelation 1 verse 10, John says something very interesting. This is now AD 95 when he wrote the book of Revelation. AD 95. Listen to what he says. Revelation 1 verse 10, he says, I was in the Spirit on the Lord's day, and heard behind me a great voice as of a trumpet. AD 95, John was still reckoning that today is the Lord's day. And you want to say, Pastor, which one is the Lord's day? Let the Bible interpret itself. Isaiah chapter 58. The Bible will tell us which one is the Lord's day. Isaiah 58 verse 13. If you turn away your foot from the Sabbath, from doing your pleasure on my holy day, and call the Sabbath a delight, the holy of the Lord, honorable, and shall honor him, not doing your own ways, nor finding your own pleasure, nor speaking your own words. So John is saying, I was in spirit on the Lord's day. That was on the Sabbath. 1895, John is still reckoning today is a Sabbath, and he was in the spirit, and God visited him with those visions. So you'll want to question now and say, if AD 95, the last surviving disciple or apostle was still observing the Sabbath, where did it all go wrong? Maybe we'll have to discuss it on a later date.
So it's been interesting, Pastor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for shedding more light on the matter.
You're always welcome.
Any more questions, I'll come back to you.
Feel free to come here.
Thank you, Pastor.
Sure.